Well, hello everyone. And welcome to my shop. Well, alright, welcome. Today is Kubota Day. I'm going to have to do a little bit of wrenching on the Kubota today, and I thought I'd go ahead and add this to the channel and just see what happens. But I got about 1160 hours on it, and it's never really given me a serious problem until recently. Well, it's not really serious, but I guess it is serious. When it gets hot after you've run it a couple hours and you shut it down, it won't crank back over to start. I don't get any click. I get a click on the starter solenoid, but it acts like it's got a dead battery. And yesterday morning when I came out to mow with it ice cold, I went to start it, click, no starty. Read my battery and it was low. Thought, all right, put a new battery in it. So I put a new battery in it, no fixing. Still, after I mowed with it all day, it wouldn't start when it was hot still, just clicked. So let's get to troubleshooting and let's get busy. Alright, in order to get to the starter, you got to pull what they call the bonnet or the front cowling off. I'm going to roll it back, get it all positioned, and I have to also take off the front grill guard, which will take 4 number 19 bolts. So we're just rolling back. Those are the 4 number 19 bolts I need to remove this front grill guard. And it comes from the factory reversed, and there's Allen heads out on this side. So I just turned them around so I could get an impact to it a whole lot easier. Thing probably weighs 75 pounds, or 50 to 75 anyway. My estimation is getting a little worse as I get older, but it's heavy, let's put it that way. Now we're going to take this cowling off. You got 4 bolts that holds it on. They're number 10s. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the cowling just slides forward. Decided to let the air do the work. this is underneath the steering wheel, the dash column, and that's where the battery resides in these BXs. And that's a brand spanking new battery. Just put it in yesterday, and that's because I've been having to put a charge on the battery to get it to start anymore, and on the old one, and it was 8 years old, so I figured it was time anyway. So that's a brand new spanking battery, and and that's not the only thing I've put in this thing, doing my shotgun approach to repair, which is not a good thing because you don't get stuff fixed that way a lot of times. But anyway, that's the brand new battery, and I'm going to read it just right now to see what it is sitting the next day. Alright, I don't know if you can see it, but it's reading about 12.68, and that's about what it was when it was brand spanking new. So I'm satisfied the voltage is good. When you're troubleshooting electronics, especially on automotive and tractors, any kind of vehicle, it's good to invest in something that's got some alligator clips. That way you can make your connections and then free both of your hands up to do some troubleshooting. So we're starting off with a good battery. Alright, now let's see what it'll do. And it's cranking. I didn't want it to start. But anyway, so we're good to go. That dropped down to 12.26. It may pick back. Here you go. It's picking back up. So that's a sign of a good battery. All right. Now, I think I may do a parasitic draw test here in a moment, just to see if there's any current flow with everything off. So, but first off, I'm going to show you what my other attempt at a shotgun repair. That's a brand spanking new starter, boys and girls. And let me tell you, they ain't cheap. Now, luckily for me, anytime I buy a piece of equipment, I'm always on the look for spare parts, you know, especially consumable type parts, whenever there's a good deal that goes through. And Amazon had a special running on these starters. This was about 3 years ago, I think. And I made sure the part numbers matched up, and I went ahead and got it. Now this ran me about $50 plus free shipping. You go to a dealer and try to buy one of these brand spanking new, you're going to pay $300 plus. So, I mean, my former military mind can't even grasp the percentage of savings that is. 75%? I may be wrong, I don't know. I'll stop playing with that. But anyway, so this starter, when I put it on and did the mowing yesterday, it did the same thing as the other starter did, which is a Denso. I don't know, this is a refurbished, it may be a refurbished Denso, I don't know, but it matches exactly. So what I'm going to do, I could hear what was the symptom I was getting when it was failing after it ran for a couple hours and it was hot, was turn the key on, I'd get lights, I'd get my dash lights and everything, but I did not hear my fuel, my electric fuel pump that's underneath the tractor. You can normally hear it clicking. I didn't hear it, and I was only getting a slight click up here at the starter solenoid. Now, I'm wondering if there's not a relay or something in between this starter and that ignition switch. So I'm going to pull this solenoid lead off that turns the solenoid on and off, and see if I still hear that click. All right. So there should be no, of course I can't reproduce the problem until the engine's hot. So now I'm going to see if I hear a click. And I don't. Now I don't know if you can hear that click. I might bring the camera closer. So I did not hear any other relays in between the starter solenoid and the start switch. So I'm looking at either a wiring issue from here to the switch, or possibly with a problem with the switch. So my next step is I'm going to drop the switch and see. This is a, what is that? It looks like it's black with a white stripe. All right, and it goes into this bundle, and it goes all the way back into under the dash. So that's where we're going. We're going to now. I'll probably have to drop that switch. We'll see. All right, the best I can tell, let's get up here and look at it. There's your switch right here. There's the connector bringing some wires up to it. That's how the switch bolts in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to unplug it from there and read in between. It's enclosed in that sheath all the way. So I tend to think wiring generally is either open or shorted. It can, via vibration, it can become intermittent, but generally wiring doesn't, if it's not scraped or anything, it doesn't make more resistance. Well, it's that much resistance when it's hot that it won't pull that solenoid all the way in. So anyway, let's try to unplug it and see what we read. All right, I got my meter set up. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to read the two leads, and that's 0.02, 0.01. Okay, so according to that meter, that's a dead short. We're just reading the resistance on the meter leads. Now, I'm looking up here at the connector, and I can see a black with white stripe right here. I'm going to plug my meter in there. All right, he's in there with the black with white stripe. It's plugged in right there on the wire. See right here. All right, and we're reading an ohm. That's kind of unusual. I would think I wouldn't read that much resistance. Oh, that's really unusual. All right, surely it doesn't have a resistor in line or something. All right. Now it's fluctuating, but it's still basically an ohm. Yeah. We're set on auto. 0.7. Well, if we go to a high resistance, which maybe is what I should do, yeah, it's reading the dead short. All right. Yeah, okay. The higher resistance we read is. All right. Let's get back to auto. Okay. Manual. All right. So manual, it's a dead short. Okay. I'll go back to auto. Okay. That's reading better. All right. Well, you generally what you do is you start wiggling. Of course, that could be the. Sorry about that. It could be a bad splice in there. Wow. Because when stuff gets hot, it expands. All right, let me look at that connector a little bit more. All right, I'm gonna turn on. I'm gonna remove this ignition switch. I've already broke it loose with the channel locks, and bring it down and see if I can see anything with it. Hopefully, it'll slide right out of there. There's a lot of stuff in the way up there. I need to get another stick. And there it is. All right. Boy, he looks expensive. That's the only other thing I can think of that would cause that problem. The wire's good. Now I guess I could troubleshoot the furthermore on the electric fuel pump, because remember now, the problem I experienced was it wasn't running either. I couldn't start because the solenoid would just click like it wasn't getting enough power to fully engage the starter armature, and I wasn't hearing my fuel pump run. And it'll run, you can hear it clicking. So that leads me to this pup right here. And let me see, this is a 2004 model. This is 2020, 16 years. Well, I can't take it apart. I doubt I can squirt anything in, any contact cleaner or anything. But I'd say this is my problem. Okay. Remember, it only does it when it's hot. It's either off, on, start. Well, I'm sorry. Off, on, glow plugs, start. Glow plugs. I don't remember if they worked or not. Probably didn't. That's glow plugs, start. All right. That is probably my problem. Probably not a thing wrong with my old Denso starter, but I'm not swapping it back. It'll just go back in my spare parts stash. I definitely was needing a battery, and good thing I had that starter. All right, so it looks like I'm gonna have to order up or buy a switch. So let me do some. Let's do some research and see what kind of, how proud they are of this thing. Alright, boys and girls, all I can tell you is when you call a dealer, be it Kubota, John Deere, Massey Ferguson, or any automotive dealer, Chevrolet, Ford, Dodge, Honda, Toyota, don't matter, you best be sitting down. First you find out if they got the part. Then sit down when they go to give you the price, because it's going to knock you off your feet. I'll put it to you this way. A new switch for this will cost more than that battery did. Cost more than the starter did. So I did some shopping around, and I found a whole lot better deal. It's an aftermarket, so it's a gamble, so we'll see. I'm not 100% sure that this is my problem. I'm 90% sure it is. But so I'm gonna go that route. So hopefully it'll be here in about 3 days or so. I shouldn't have to use the tractor in that time frame. So I'm gonna leave the switch out and leave it in this manner here, but I'm gonna put the front end back together. Anyway, yes, I was sitting down. Alright, and going through my stash, I found a schematic, which is going to help me out immensely, and it's going to explain that resistance that I read there at the starter solenoid. But here's the key switch right here. Alright, this yellowed line is the battery. If you turn the switch on, that's where voltage is applied, and it comes up here, goes over, hits a junction, goes into the voltage regulator, comes down to the electric fuel pump, comes up and over to the light switch, and it comes over to the idiot gauges, the oil pressure gauge, and here's a gauge that was only on the European model, so we won't pay very much attention to that. Alright, and also the voltage goes up, and it goes through a 15 amp fuse. Now, bridges over to another 15 amp fuse and comes over, and it goes through some safety switch circuits. Now I'm not going to the run circuit. We're not concerned with that, because once it does turn over, it starts and runs great. So we're just going to trace out the start circuit. So when the key is turned to the start, well, in this second position here, that's glow plugs. You see, voltage comes over, and comes and goes straight to the glow plugs. So right here is the start circuit. All right, so you apply voltage, and it comes out of the key switch, and at first it goes through a PTO switch and the associated wiring to it. If the PTO switch is engaged, in other words, if it's either the front or the middle PTO is selected and engaged, you will not be able to start the tractor. All right, so it's in. So the PTO switch is off. It'll go through those closed contacts. Now it comes to a gear range selector. All right, on this BX tractor, you got two gears. You got low and high. All right, and of course neutral. If the gear selector is not in neutral, you won't start the tractor. So in neutral, the current flow now is from the switch through the closed contacts of the PTO, because it's off, through the closed contacts of the gear range selector, because it's in neutral, and it's got one more safety switch, and it is the treadle pedal, the go pedal, if you will. Now, if it's pressed or hung up in where you're going forward, where it's pressed down in the front, or it's pressed down in the back, it will not, the switch will be open, and it will not start the engine. So the treadle pedal has got to be in its middle or neutral position. So what does all this mean? That means that with the wiring and the three safety switches, before the current gets to the starter motor, we're looking at about an ohm of resistance, which I can accept. So that explains that. It also shows there's no relays, there is no other additional circuitry other than all the wiring to get to these safety switches and the safety switches. So that got me to doing some more pulling around and tugging, and I think I found the problem, and it's pretty unusual. And it would be a problem with any vehicle any engine that relies on a battery to start. Now, when I was troubleshooting this, and I told you when I would, it's not really heated up enough to do the problem, but I'll turn the key on. You can barely hear it, but the fuel pump's clicking down there. All right. I was not getting that click when this tractor was failing. So that's why I'm thinking, instead of being the safety switches putting too much resistance on, that it was the switch itself. Now I'll show you a few things here. All right, now if here's my gear range here, we'll put it in gear, it doesn't matter, I'll put it in low. It won't start. All right, take him back. If I push down on the HST pedal, won't start. All right. Now, if I put the PTO level. Now this here engages the PTO. Okay, and it should not start, and it doesn't. All right. Taking them all off. There you go. That's why I don't tend to think it's my switches or the wiring to them. All right, part of the problem of repair and troubleshooting is reproducing the problem. And finally, I've reproduced the problem cold and hot. The problem really only occurred after I've run this tractor for about an hour to 2 hours. Well, an hour and a half to 2 hours. Then I would experience this problem until it cooled down a little bit, it seemed, and then it would start fine. So anyway, if you've kept up with me so far, you know I had to put a new battery in it. Now, even though that battery was 8 years old, it hadn't been really giving me a whole lot of trouble until recently. It may have had a little bit more life left into it, but I replaced it anyway, and I still had the problem. I bought a new rebuilt starter several years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, at a real good price, and it's just been sitting on my shelf collecting dust. So, new battery, still had the problem. I swapped the starter, still had the problem. I was going to order a new key switch, but I've decided I thought on it some more, and I thought, well, I'm going to do some more checking, because it just doesn't seem right that the switch would get hot when it's sitting this far away from the engine and there's cool air, incoming air going by it. So let me see if I can reproduce the problem for you, and I'll explain it. This is the battery positive cable right here, and you can see it's the type where it's a lead type. This is the factory connection. All right, and let's see if I can reproduce the problem. Well, the thing's loose, but I'll explain it better. The cable, when it crimped inside this end, it's either loosened over time, corroded over time, or a combination of both. The cable is actually, when I had this tightened down in here, the cable, I could wiggle this cable in the connector here with it cold, and the starter would cut in and out. So I wanted to try to reproduce it on film for you, but anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and replace that cable because I have reproduced it. But anyway, and it's barely you barely can tell that there's a problem, but it's the cable inside that connector. Anyway, all right, so I'm going to replace the cable. I just went to the Tractor Supply and got me a 3-foot long positive battery cable. And I like that it's got this built into it. So I'm going to splice that in and get away with the connection I have up there. And we're going to replace this cable. Alright, so that's why that cable costs so much. Well, we're not against doing a splice here. Alright. About 3 foot. Looks like 3 feet's about right what I needed. Now he's not going to have that protector cup on it. I don't think I can get that off. The other one. No, he's not coming off. So well, let's see. I might can do something with it. There we go. Yeah, I'll just tape it. Alright. Now we're going to have to get that small one through there too. Now let's see if that does it. If not, I'll order that switch and put it in there. But I don't think that's it. I think we got him. So anyway. Alright, let's put the bonnet back on. I guess you can tell I've been putting this together in segments, and well, I've done a couple mowings since I've replaced that battery cable, and that seems to have done the trick. Now we're going to step over here and I'm going to show you, because I skinned back some of the insulation because I was curious as to what it looked like underneath that cable up there towards the end. But anyway, the Kubota seems to be ready to take care of business. And it's got a hay wagon to pull here coming up pretty soon on a couple occasions. So anyway. Alright, well here's that battery cable. And if you see up there towards the top, right up in here, you can see what one of my favorite mechanics on YouTube calls the crusties. Now, I can move it, wiggle it some, but it just doesn't seem to be as loose as the problem it was causing. But those crusties must be up there pretty good and causing the, and I can't still figure why the heat would make, maybe the heat on the terminals expanding it more than the cable, and it's causing it to make that, to cut down on the voltage. Now there's enough voltage to throw the solenoid, but there wasn't enough to actually turn the armature on the starter until it cooled off. It's an amazing thing. So anyway, that's the battery end of it that I could wiggle. It's real stiff, but I could wiggle this and I could get it to cut in and out. So anyway, that's that. All right, I want to direct you here. I made mention of it earlier in the in this vlog, but this is my Craftsman 3/8 inch drive air ratchet that has served me well for 25 to 30 years. I mean, I haven't done anything to it but use it, and it served me well. But as I mentioned earlier in the captions, I'm about to retire it. It is it's lived past its prime, and it doesn't have a problem with it. It's actually the way it's used. Having to stretch that long air hose to it and having to manipulate it around stuff, it just got to be a big pain. And I figured it was time for me to move up in the more modern times, what you all millennials and Gen Xers and whatever else they call them. You younger fellas and gals that turn wrenches has gone to these electric battery powered cordless tools, and well, I've made the move myself. So he's going in the toolbox, and he may or may not see use again. I never say never, but he's retiring, and he's being replaced by this puppy. Now, I'm not these are not a sponsor. Craftsman is not. And it's really the luck of the deal that is why I picked Craftsman over Milwaukee or the other major brands, because well, I just was shopping on price. And unfortunately now, unless you buy a kit, when you buy these things, they don't come with batteries. You've got to buy the battery and charger separate as another kit. So when I figured all that in, I got the better deal here on this Craftsman. And it's a 3/8 inch drive. It's got an LED there. And this dude has got enough torque to where I was able to break lug nuts loose and put them on, not only on the trailer, but also on my GMC here. So I'm thinking, wow, if it's got that much torque, I got to be really careful when I'm torquing down, you know, like quarter 20s and such, because this thing will easily strip them out. But anyway, and I bought 2 batteries and a charger, and here's the charger right here. And so I bought this separate, and then I bought 2 batteries and the charger as a kit, and I picked up another flashlight, which uses the same battery. You know, and all the manufacturers do it now. You can get multiple tools that work off these batteries. Now these are only 2 ampere hour, and I've been working both of these quite a bit. I've been doing a lot of maintenance in the house, putting new floors down, sheetrocking, painting, putting wood ceilings up, and I've been using this, and I haven't yet to recharge the battery since new. And it's still showing three lights there. So anyway, well, there you go. Turn it on, and it but it gives a pretty good light. I can see these are, like I say, those are only 2 ampere hour, and I see 4 and 5 what a lot of guys use on their tools. So I may upgrade to a bigger battery when I go to more tools. But so far, I've not had to charge either when I do it, and there's the fast charger. So, I guess you can teach old dogs new tricks, and it's only fitting that I retire a Craftsman air ratchet with a Craftsman battery pack. So anyway, there you go. Well, all right, I believe that's going to stick a fork in this project. The Kubota's running good. I've mowed with it twice. I think I mentioned that earlier, and it's you know, both times I've ran it up, got it warmed up. When I say hot, when it gets hot, I don't mean that it's overheating hot. I mean once it warms up and it runs all day long. So that seems to have fixed him. And in the previous vlog, you seen where I hung my spare tire here on the side, and so that's another little project done. Now. It's funny, I was listening to, I like to listen to talk radio a lot anymore. There's not a whole lot of new songs that cranks my tractor, so to speak, so I like to listen to my old stuff, and I like to listen to what's going on with talk radio. But anyway, they started talking about what albums were your favorite over the years, and then I started thinking about it, and I thought, man, there's so many. And what I've done anymore is I got all these albums or CDs now, and I've got them loaded on my hard drive, and I've just burned my own sticks. So I actually have, you know, mixes. I have my own personal best as. Well, one thing they brung up is when you get used to a specific album and the order that the songs play, it's like subconsciously you know what song's about to play next. And if you listen to another compilation done by somebody else or the original album, and it's playing, and then another song plays right after it, and it's not what you're used to, you know, it affects you. You go, my God, that's not supposed to be there. This song's supposed to be there. Well, anyway, this one fella called in, and he mentioned his most favorite album was the album that released just after Jim Croce died. And I happen to have it, so I've been listening to it while I've been out here trying to clean up and get this stuff fixed up. And I would love to be playing it right now because I mean Jim Croce he had some excellent, outstanding songs, and his and this is what, the '60s, early '70s, and I mean his music works today as it did back then, and I kind of hadn't really thought about him much, but really that's really good. That's you think about Big Bad Leroy Brown. These youngsters out here that are rioting and burning stuff down. It's like maybe they need a reminder that there's bigger and badder people that they don't need to be messing with. And burning their places down, threatening them in their cars. My gosh, folks, where in the world is this country going? But anyway, I don't want to get off on that too much. Jim Croce, if you're a fan of his, well, go ahead and listen to him. I'm gonna turn him back on as soon as I turn the camera off. Can't have these copyright issues. But man, that's some excellent music. So anyway, I want to thank you for watching. Hope everything's going good with you. It's going good around here. Kind of a rainy, dreary day, but I'm not complaining. It wouldn't do me any good if I did. So I hope you have a good one. Hope to see you around on the next one. And you have a good one. See you. Have a good one.